Goa is very beautiful, but we all know that Goa is being ruined, and everybody has the same motto: save Goa. But these days there has been a lot of confusion as to what is Goanness or Goikarpon. Recently, the post by Manoj Par telling the priests not to interfere in politics has put the Goan people into confusion. Those who ardently support Manoj Parab's RG and those who are faithful to the church defending their priests, saying that whatever they are saying is correct. The confusion here is whether we should allow migrants to have any voting rights, property rights, and having ration cards in Goa. Whether migrants should be allowed to contest elections in Goa or no. For 5 years, I have been following the Revolutionary Goans group till the time it became a political party. I've also went through the opinions of the church, opinions of the priests, and many people who call Manoj Parab an RSS fellow. So, what is the clarity between this confusion? Should we allow migrants in such a way that one day the native and the indigenous community of Goa is drowned? Or should we pass the POGO Bill to save Goa for the Goans, native Goans only? I was very happy when Mr. Jose Rodriguez mentioned me in his video. That is the time I came to know who are the priests who are being targeted by Manoj. And one of them is Father Aidan Manuel Fernandez, who is my very good friend. Then, of course, Father Ermito and many others. And I was very sad because the Christians in Goa are now divided. Some people commenting below saying that some priests are only for property's sake and that is why they don't want RG to come. They also are corrupt and so on and so forth. I wouldn't have made this video. But then I said I have to step in, doing some research as I always do, and giving clarity on the topic from both the side. From the side of the priests who are tending to say that Manoj is RSS, and from the side of the RG whose desire is to save Goa for native Goans. And therefore, let me begin addressing Father Aidan, who is a very good friend of mine. And I know that he is not going to just discard whatever I'm saying, but he is going to carefully listen to what I'm saying and will contemplate on it. Certainly, I don't think that he wants Goa to be destroyed. But as human beings, as Christians, he wants us not to hate anyone and not to exclude anyone. This is the reason why in his sermon he said that we need the migrants, we need to walk along with the migrants. This does not mean that he also wants them to come to Goa and destroy Goa. That is why he said that he is aware that there are many illegal things that are happening. And he has been very clear about it. But Father Aidan, I would like to make certain points clear. In your sermon, you mentioned the book of Leviticus, where God asked the people of Israel to treat other people as their own because they too were inhabiting in some foreign land. Very true. But the people of Israel also fought wars to protect their land, the promised land. For Goans, Goa is the promised land. As you gave some scriptures, let me also quote to you some scriptures which I had a tough time to find, and this should help our viewers. Let us read Exodus chapter 12, verse 1 to 51. God promises a promised land for the people of Israel. So Goa is a promised land for us. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 20 to 21, where Saint Paul, respecting the culture of the place, of the people of every place, became all to all. He became a Jew to the Jew, Greek to the Greek, Gentile to the Gentile. Psalms 91, verse 9 to 11, God asks us to protect the house, and he says that he will protect our land. Then Zechariah chapter 9, verse 8, God tells us to guard our house and do not allow any oppressor or anybody to destroy it and to destroy the heritage. Let me go to the church teachings, beginning with the Second Vatican Council in Gaudium et Spes, number 53. This document calls all of us to preserve the culture of the land and to preserve the culture and respect the dignity of the indigenous people. Then if we read Argentes, Missio Argentes, it calls us to have dialogue, a cultural dialogue for the sake of evangelization. In this, it also tells us to preserve the culture of the place, especially those of the indigenous land. Then, on the mission of the church to protect indigenous people. This is a special document available on the Vatican website, and I'm putting the link in the description below. Let us go to the apostolic exhortation of Pope John Paul II, Ecclesia in Oceania, in the year 2001, number 6, where the Pope calls all of us to preserve the cultural identity of the native people of the land. And then, of course, coming to another document of Pope John Paul II, Fides et Ratio, number 70, where a dialogue needs to take place between faith and culture. And well, as we are giving the faith to them, the culture, the heritage, and the rights of the indigenous people need to be respected. It is in this same view Pope Francis had the synod on the Amazon, where he called the world to preserve and protect the rights of the native people of the Amazon, the indigenous people, and to respect their culture. Pope Francis also calls in Laudato Si to respect and protect the land, and the natives have to be given the right to protect their lands without anybody else coming and destroying it. Enough from the church teachings, right? There is one thing which Father Aidan said in his sermon, that India is country and therefore we need to recognize ourselves as Indians first and then as Goans, because first we are Indians and then Goans, because India is a country divided into states for the sake of administration. I would like to not only correct him but all of us, all of those who are listening to me now. The definition of our country is given very well in Article 1 of the Indian Constitution, number 1, which says India is a union of state. Mr. Kapil Sibal, the senior Congress leader, had a hard time explaining this in the parliament. This means that India is not one nation divided into separate states, but it is different states coming together and forming one nation, that is India. We all know that in the year 1947, when India got its independence, not all the states which are part of Indian Union today were part of the states of the Indian Union at that time. Many of these states, including Goa, were annexed and added to its union later on, especially Goa in the year 1961. When these states were being annexed into the Indian Union, there were certain provisions that were made for each state. And 5 of these states are having special provisions based on which the argument that Goa needs to be protected only for native Goans. Before I go to explain why the POGO Bill is constitutional and legal, let me make one statement. Neither Father Aidan nor Manoj Par is wrong. What Father Aidan wants us is to respect the migrants and allow them on humanitarian basis to come to Goa and make their living. I think even Mr. Manoj Par agrees with that. I have interviewed and asked many close collaborators of Manoj Par, asking them what is his views on the migrants in Goa. And all of us have told me one thing. We have no problem them coming here making their living. But we have problem with the illegal things that are going on and to selling of our lands to anybody and everybody. Therefore, this has to be stopped. The concern for migrants from the side of the church started from the war in Syria, when Pope Francis worked hard to stop the war in Syria, Iraq and elsewhere. The people from these countries were migrating to Europe, trying to take citizenship in countries like Germany, England, Poland and so on. He worked very hard to make people of this country understand that these people who are refugees need refuge in countries who are well-to-do and peaceful, because there was no peace in that country. But that was a different context. That was a context of war. Can this context be used for the context of Goa? That is a question which the church needs to contemplate on. So the legality of the POGO bill is based on what I can argue from the field of is Article 371, which gives special provisions for states like Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and under the 6th schedule, certain parts of the states like Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, and Darjeeling in West Bengal. Now, if we consider the population of Himachal Pradesh is around 68.6 lakhs and the area is 55,673 kilometers square. Sikkim, the population is 6.19 lakhs and the area is 7,096 kilometers square. Nagaland has a population of 22.8 lakhs and the area of 16,579 kilometers square. Arunachal Pradesh has a population of 12.6 lakhs and area of 83,743 kilometers square according to the census of 2012. Goa's population from the same year census is 18.2 lakhs and according to certain news from 2012, we know that around 49% of the Goan population that has voting cards is around 49%. That is, if we divide around 50% of 18.2 comes to around 9.1 lakhs. So only 9.1 lakhs are native Goans in Goa. That means under Article 371, which has given special category or special status or provisions for these five states and certain areas, same can be applicable for Goa as well. In the year 2012 and before 2008, the native Goans, which are mostly tribals like Velip, Dangar, Kunbi, Gaudi, they were declared as SC and ST. Therefore, if we have a sizable number of tribals, shouldn't Article 371 be applicable for them as well? In the year 2017, September 9th, Times of India had given a news article saying that the indigenous population of Goa was only 6.50 lakhs out of the 18.2 lakhs, what is now today. In 2019, 6th October, NDTV news report said that the migrant influx in Goa was increasing, so much so that one day it would drown the indigenous and the native population. Therefore, it was a matter of concern. This concern was taken by then the Chief Minister, Mr. Manoj Par, to the central government to do something about protecting the indigenous community. Therefore, if Article 371 gives protection to these five states and certain areas of some states where other Indians cannot come and buy properties just on the basis that there are tribals and they have a culture of protecting their land, don't we Goans also have love for our land? We do. We have protected this land for around 450 years, which was under the Portuguese rule. We have saved it, we have fought for it, and we have got our liberation. Special status for Goa is nothing new. The POGO Bill is nothing new to Goans. The demand for special status started right from the time Goa was being liberated by the Indian forces against the Portuguese. In the year 1961, on 18 December, the case of Goa was taken to the United Nations. And the Portuguese were arguing that India would come and destroy the culture of Goa, the land, and especially the Catholic community. But the Nehru government argued and said that Goa is a geographical part of the mainland India and it would work to protect its culture, its history, and unique identity. In the year 1963, on 23rd May, when he came to Kampal, Panjim, he admired the uniqueness of Goa and its unique history. It was insulated from the rest of India and the British colonial history, being influenced so much under the Portuguese that even the Gaonkari system, which was then updated as to Comunidade system, was preserved even after the Constitution of India was implemented in Goa. On 19th February 1968, the tribal community of the Gaudas, Kunbis, Velips were given SC and ST status by the center. I by mistake said it was in the year 2008, it was in the year 1968. And since it was given SC/ST status, same which is applied to the five states under the Article 371, which are special privileges, that is, other Indians cannot buy properties there. Shouldn't it have been applied here as well? The late Matani Saldana, one of the political stalwarts in Goa, on 21st November 2008, demanded for special status. Now, there are different kinds of special statuses which are given for the states in India. Some are financial, and there are like inner line limit which is applied in the case of Himachal Pradesh. We did not want something like that. But Article 19 of the Indian Constitution allows any Indian to purchase properties in any part of India, in any state of India. But Article 371, again, as I said, restricts this right when it comes to certain states. So we wanted something like that for Goa. Mr. Luisin Falero, who was then the ex-chief minister of Goa, also demanded for the same special status, and also Manohar Parrikar. Now, how it was being reported to the prime minister at that time, who was Manmohan Singh, in the year 2012, we do not know. The argument that was given was that Goa is a well-to-do state. According to per capita income, Goa is the richest state of the country. That is, every person has an income which is enough to sustain the life of a Goan here. But there is a high standard of living in Goa. This happened because of the influx of the foreign tourism that started in the 70s and the 80s, with the hippies coming to Goa, and then the chartered flights entering Goa because of its natural beauty. But we all know that the beauty of a place does not depend only on the geographical conditions or landscapes. It also depends on the people of the state. The native Goans have always been peaceful, and very recently, with all the migrant influx in Goa, riots and fights between communities has started. Just this month or last month, we know the cases in Baina, very recently in Cape, and so much so that the religious tensions are increasing in Goa, with Mr. Velinkar making a statement, and now more people making statements in the community, causing disharmony and unrest. This is not a typical Goan culture. Now the Karnatakas want to contest elections in Goa. Many say that it is their democratic right. But then again, arguing on the basis of Article 371 and so forth, trying and pushing forward the case to give special status to Goa, I don't think it should be done. They argue saying that Goans are going to London, contesting elections there, and even winning and representing people. But here it is a confusion, and there is a dispersion in the logic. The logic is this: when they contest elections in London, I'm talking about the Goans, do they contest as Goan citizens or British citizens? And here we are all Indian citizens. This logic is totally baseless. The fear is that if we allow such type of elections or such type of contest to happen, what will happen to the originality and the uniqueness of this place? What will happen to the uniqueness of the people of this place? That is a matter of concern, and that has to be kept in high prestige. Being the smallest state of the country, there is a lot at stake. And I believe, and I'm firmly convinced, that everybody is pouncing on Goa because of the cosmopolitan type of environment which is here. Goa is become a focus at international level. The price rate of land here is very high. Standard of living is very high. And the foreign tourist influx is also on the rise. People love this place because it is peaceful. Will it remain peaceful when the natives, the original Goans, are just wiped out? Absolutely not. And therefore, we must not encourage anybody else to contest elections here, and nobody should represent us outside of this state, and therefore avoid the confusion. Therefore, my argument is that Goa has to be given a special status, and a bill like POGO Bill has to be passed in Goa based on these points. First of all, Goa has a unique history under the Portuguese of 450 years. The Indo-Portuguese culture is so unique that everybody is fascinated by it. Goans have fought, tilted and protected this land even under the suppression by the Portuguese, preserving their culture and the language Konkani. Given the fact of the Article 371, which provides special provision for the 5 states, same can be applicable to Goa because of the sizable number of the SC/ST community in Goa to preserve this land and this cultural heritage. For others, Goa may be only a business property, but for us Goans, Goa is our home, and we have the full right to protect our land. Now, certain people I would like to address in this video of mine. First of all, should we allow migrants to work in Goa and earn their living? Of course. This is one country, as we said, and we have opted to belong to this country. And as human beings, we cannot kick on somebody's stomach. Therefore, I believe that we can allow the migrants to come to Goa, earn their living, and build homes and their home villages. But I don't think it is necessary to give them voting cards and ration cards and property rights here in Goa. They will never know how to protect it. We also need to animate them, empower them to go back to their villages and their states and fight for their rights there. Just because their state government is troubling them, they cannot go elsewhere and exploit the fruits which have been collected and gathered by the hard work of others. Mr. Pramod Sawant, who is our CM, has been a ruthless man. He had no concern for Goans, especially at Melauli and Mopa, when he commanded the police to lathi charge those people protesting to protect their lands. And now he is speaking of saving the Goans. I think that is utter nonsense. Recently, there is this man who has come here and making comments, and you can see in the picture above. Read the comments properly. And now, as an answer, I have this particular news for him. You can look at this picture as well. Now, please tell me whether this man is speaking the truth. On one side, he says that they are not doing it, but the other side, there is evidence to say and to prove that they are actually also doing the same thing what they are not saying that they are doing. Therefore, we need to be careful. It is everybody's right in India under the Constitution, Article 25, to have the freedom of religion to express, preach and propagate, and therefore also to choose the religion of their choice. The religious disharmony in Goa is on its rise. We had never seen anything like that before. Therefore, we need to be careful. The Hindus, Muslims and Catholics in Goa have lived in peace and harmony for more than 60 years now, and suddenly somebody coming and disrupting it for their own purposes is not right. We need to be very careful. I also heard that Sadhguru was coming to Goa, and our CM advertised it on a large scale. But the thing is, where was this man when the double tracking and the trilinear project was coming into Goa? Where was this man when Mopa was being grabbed from the people's rights and being used to build an airport? Where was this man when in Melauli an IIT was supposed to come, without the consent of the people the land was grabbed? If this man had no concern at that time, and now when there are no issues about land grabbing, I don't think this man should be allowed to even enter Goa. So friends, I would like to end this video here. I tried to address many people in this video. To end, I would like to only say that priests and the RG needs to come together, because these are the two institutions or entities in Goa which we can see sincerely working to protect Goa. Without doubt, the church has worked to preserve the state of Goa. In the year 2012, the loss of the Congress party in the elections was attributed to the role of the church, while at the same time RG has given a new hope, especially to the youngsters, and youngsters who have never been so active regarding any other party have been active with RG. But there is a need of purification, there is a need of clarification in all communication that we are having. This is Matthew signing off. I hope you will contemplate on what I have tried to convey. Thank you.